talk is coming from the workshop. I'd show you around the workshop, only it's a bit of a mess, and you always get people putting up comments like, tidy the place up before showing people around. So as I can't be bothered to tidy it up, I'm not going to show you around. It's always the minority who spoil it for the majority. Anyway, I'm now going to talk about the Karmann Mobil Colibri camper car. And anyway, you don't want to look at me, you want to look at some vehicles. So here you go, here's some vehicles to look at. Now, I've got some pictures and I've got a couple of pieces of bad film as well. As far as the bad film is concerned, I'm sorry it's a bit dark, but fortunately that's the way it is when I'm at a trade fair, I need to film when there's no one around, and when there's no one around, the lights aren't necessarily on. I'm going to talk about the idea of a van which also doubles up as a car. Now, I know there's lots of people actually thinking about this. Can I have a car which is a van and do a bit of stealth living in it? And I got a message from somebody a couple of days ago who is going to move to London and he wants to live in a van. Now, I can understand why anybody would want to live in a van in London because of the horrendous cost of renting anywhere. Whether or not he's going to find somewhere to park it, I don't know, because the parking is based on actually living somewhere. But that apart, and how he's going to actually get around that one, I don't know. But let's have a look at Karmann Mobil's way of doing this. Now, there are people who may want to have a car because they have an underground car park. They live in the city, they want a van to go out at the weekends or something of that nature, or maybe occasionally have to make the odd trip a few more days. And you know, if you go away for the week even, it mightn't bother you living in a tiny space, and that I absolutely appreciate. Indeed, being able to afford a motorhome for most people, it can only be a dream. And the next thing is, where do you actually keep it, where do you put it? That's why I say to people all the time, you don't want to buy a van, you need to rent it. But you have to buy a car anyway, or if you have to buy a car anyway, why not get one which also doubles up as a van? And that is where a number of companies have products in this area. Now, I started off by talking about the Karmann Mobil Colibri, which was introduced in a 5-meter version based on the Renault Traffic in 2014. Now, as you can see from the pictures, and the film, it's got a folding roof, it's got a double bed, swivel cab seats, got a fold down bench seats to make 2 more beds, and it's got a bit of storage in there. Not a lot, but a bit. In the kitchen you've got a 2-flame cooker and you've got a compressor fridge. The width is 196 centimeters and height's 204, and that all comes for under 40,000 euros. And if you've got a bit more cash to spend, you can have something like a rear view camera, outdoor shower, awning, bike carriers, additional diesel heater, wastewater tanks, second leisure battery. Well, what happens if you're going to need a toilet? Well, you're just going to have to rig something up yourself. But I mean, that's perfectly doable. Now, the success of doing this sort of encouraged Karmann Mobil to come up with something which is actually a bit more clever. Now, the first time I saw this, I didn't like it at all. It was only when I really started thinking about it that I thought, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Maybe in my own case it's because I'm so biased, because I'm sort of living in a van rather than living in a block of flats as I used to do. And Karmann Mobil brought up this van, so it's a Colibri 539 centimeters long. It's same width, 196, and height 204. But what is really very clever about this is the way it's been organised internally, because the first thing I saw was these backward facing seats inside. Oh, that's ridiculous, what a waste of space. And these backward facing seats of course make up the bed at night, and I was thinking, well, why can't they just have swivel chairs and turn them around? That's just silly, that is. I mean, swivels, I paid what, a couple €100 if that, for the 2 that I've got in my van. But, and I think this is a good point, maybe the bed would not work any other way. By the way, I apologise for the quality of the film. It was a trade fair. There wasn't much in the way of light when I was in there, so I couldn't really do much better than what you see. So don't complain at the film, because I mean, I can only work with the tools I'm actually given. Now, returning to the Colibri here, we can see another thing it's got in there is a toilet. And now, a car with a toilet. Now that's a pretty good thing, isn't it, really? It's something, I mean, when you're stuck in traffic jams or something like that, it could come in handy. It's but for going off at the weekend, there's a couple of you, no, that's brilliant. Also, I mean, if a couple of you with kids, you might want to, you can get the tent in the roof, get that out, and you can use that as well. So, from initially being really negative about this vehicle when I first saw it, I'm now quite positively disposed towards it. Now, bear in mind as well that a small van, you can't put it in a normal parking space. For example, I was out in the Heimer S van last year, and I managed to park it without any problem whatsoever in Germany, in Iznin, Allgäu, and for example in other places, in a normal car parking space, which also I was of course able to do in my VW T4 Malibu when I was driving around in it. Now, one thing that often occurred to me is the problem of standing up in the van, and yes, of course, it is nice to be able to stand up in it, and that's why you've got the tent in the roof, so you can actually stand up in it. But you know, if you're using it to drive to work every day, you might need to get it into the underground car park at home. You might need to get it into the parking at your office or factory or wherever it is you work. You might need to get it into the shopping centre or where you go to. So you've got all of these benefits of having a low roof, which those who have normal vans don't actually have. Now, the 539 costs around 43,000 euros kick-off price, and you can have all the extras you might want. It is a bit more expensive than a normal car, but it's not significantly more expensive than a normal car. Now, one of the vehicles I have attacked is the Mercedes Marco Polo, which, to be quite honest, I still don't see the point, because I mean, if you can't actually use the toilet and wash your hands or something like that, well, it does have a sink in it, but I mean, it hasn't got a toilet in it, then I can't see the point of all the other luxury around it. But for something like this, which is closer to the idea of a camping car, and I'm not speaking French, because camping car in French means motorhome, but a car which can use for camping, this is much closer to it than anything else that I have seen. I know I've said some nasty things about Karmann Mobil in the past, and but this one here, the more I think about it, it's not such a bad idea. Now, a couple of more points. It weighs, the 539 weighs 2.9 tons, so you've got 600 kilos of payload. I don't know where you're going to put 600 kilos of payload, so that shouldn't be a problem. Oh, it's got another unusual feature. The freshwater tank is 68 litres, but the wastewater tank is 100 litres. I don't know the reason for that. Maybe it's because the manufacturers think it's harder to dump water from a van like this than it is from a normal van. That's the only thing I can think of. Right, so what do you think? Is this a good idea or not? Let me know.